We're all stashing running backs to get through the fantasy football season. We're getting those backup running backs, those guys on IR, those running backs that could see a big workload somewhere down the line. We just need the dominoes to fall correctly. Last week we talked about Jonathon Brooks, but since then we got some more news, and it's looking good for Jonathon Brooks because it looks like he's going to be back sooner than later, and the news is saying, hey, we should perk our ears up. But before we do this deep dive on Jonathon Brooks, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing these deep dives every day, multiple players a day, these trending players, so you can look at the advanced analytics, the recent news, and see what you want to do with these players on your fantasy football team. Should you stash? Should you not? Should you drop? Should you pick up? Whatever it is, click that button. Stop missing out. But Jonathon Brooks is in the final stages to returning to play. And that is immense for him because that's saying, hey, he's going to be back sooner than later. And we can taste it now. We can feel it now. Jonathon Brooks going to be back and is nearing his professional debut. And that is going to be just right around the corner. Middle of the year, maybe around Halloween, maybe prior to that. But you got to get ready for this because this is a running back prospect with tons of upside. But Chuba Hubbard's there. What about him? Because he's been looking good on the field, and he has been. I'm not a Chuba Hubbard hater. But let's look at Dave Canales and see what he has to say from back when he drafted Jonathon Brooks.
Versatility, first and foremost. Our system calls for a back that could be used, of course, just in a traditional way, handed to him. Then how can we get this player in space, being able to get him in perimeter screens, check downs. We got a really cool empty package where we use the backs, flex them out to get matchups, things like that. He's a bigger back. He's got range. There's so much that he brings from a versatility standpoint. That's probably the biggest thing that stood out. And then just vision, patience, contact balance, acceleration. Like, he's got it all. He's the best back in this class, and we were so fired up to just be able to bring him in and create that competition that Dan talked about.
He unloaded a lot there. He wanted to create competition in the backfield, which means and implies more than one running back if you really stretch that out. So Chuba could still get him if you love your Chuba. But they like his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, how electric he is, how he is between the tackles, his size. Everything about his game creates a lot more versatility. We saw that at Texas. His ability to catch the ball, get downfield, his speed. He can do it all. He's got the upside for that and was hands down the best back in this class. Just happened to be dealing with an ACL injury to slow him down. But adding him into this offense, especially now that we're starting to ramp things up with Andy Dalton, that could make things a lot better. This could be the upside play that turns fantasy teams around. Or if you're like one of the top teams in your league, this could be the player that, if he splashes, could make you a league-winning team instantly, unstoppable, unbeatable, and he's just sitting there on the IR spot, and you can probably catch him for a discount right now, and his value is only going to increase going forward, especially after this news. But going back to what he did at college, remember, there was this guy named Bijan Robinson there, the next generational running back, who he was sitting behind. But in 2023, when he got his opportunity, 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3.91 yards after contact per attempt, was making everybody miss when it comes to tackles in the open field, looking solid. And when it comes to the advanced metrics, he's holding up with Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson, and just getting it done. We're looking at Jonathon Brooks as a guy that really pegs out metrically with some of those top running backs. And I'm talking about Bijan Robinson, not Roschon Johnson. But Bijan Robinson was carried in the supreme light. Jonathon Brooks, not too far off from him. And we're looking at his size here. 6 foot 216. The workout metrics are old due to his ACL injury, but still drafted in the second round for a reason. They drafted him in the second round with an ACL injury, knowing they had to wait for a reason. That's because they were bought in on the talent. He's got the speed, the explosiveness. We see that on tape. Also, Jonathon Brooks is going to be seeing a good schedule in the playoffs. Something you may want to look at. But you're looking at Chuba Hubbard here. He should crush Miles Sanders on the depth chart pretty easy. But what should we expect here? Should he steal Chuba Hubbard's lunch? Is that what's going to happen? But Chuba Hubbard's holding his own. Chuba Hubbard's looking good. Let me know in the comments if you think Chuba Hubbard's going to keep him at bay. But Chuba Hubbard's holding his own. 10 true yards per carry, 16th among running backs in yards created, 14th among running backs in yards created per touch. He's not a generational prospect or anything, but he's holding his own among other NFL running backs and looking good on the field. Chuba Hubbard's doing good, which I think this is a great thing for Jonathon Brooks, because Jonathon Brooks doesn't have to be the guy right out of the gate. He's going to ramp up. He might start off slow. And the thing is, Chuba Hubbard's getting a lot of the workload. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry. You're not going to just straight up bench Chuba Hubbard for anybody. But I think this is great for Jonathon Brooks on the long term, because you can ramp him up in there and you can use Jonathon Brooks catching the ball out of the backfield. You can slowly develop him into the workload, into the game plan. And I think that's great. And then over the course of time, with the right matchups, right opportunities, maybe he starts getting more workload. Maybe you have 2 running backs that's just rolling. After all, the Carolina Panthers, you cannot look at them and say that they're not a weird team. So why not get our yards on the ground just as weird as possible with these 2 running backs? We got Chuba Hubbard getting a good opportunity share, but also Jonathon Brooks can get his too. They can both do it. And then what if something happens to Chuba Hubbard? Jonathon Brooks going to look good. Jonathon Brooks, though, could steal it. He could. He has the talent to do so. He's a rookie coming back from an ACL injury. He should be getting some workload, though. But he has the upside. We're chasing the upside here. And that could be Halloween time, Thanksgiving time, when it really starts to mount up. But those first few games is going to be slow, because we've seen this with players coming back from ACL injuries. And that's when you probably could buy him and get him cheap through trade. People getting sick of him, dropping him, catching him on the value right there. The thing about Jonathon Brooks is you don't need him right now if you're locked down at running back. You do not have room on your bench, and you just can't do it. You're scared of the knee. You don't want to deal with the ramp up. You'll buy if someone drops him during the ramp up, because you know about the upside. You're just looking to get in there on the cheap. But you've already got him stashed on IR. He should have been stashed on IR. But you haven't thought about the IR spot. You're watching this video for the first time. You're like, hey, I'm going to pick this guy up and put him in my IR spot. But there are leagues out there where people are not utilizing their IR spot. They're not utilizing that. And players are just sitting on waivers due to their injuries. And people are not thinking ahead of time, just stashing those players, putting them in their IR spot when they should be. Guys like Nick Chubb, guys like Jonathon Brooks, and other players dealing with injuries that you could have got during the draft or through pickups off the waiver wire. And there are leagues out there like that. But I'm here to remind you to use that spot, because there are a lot of people that argue against that. If you have unlimited IR spots, use them. If you have a bunch, use them. Drop them when you really have to do it, but stash guys on the IR. Just stash them. Use it up. That's a free lottery ticket right there. Pick up that lottery ticket, throw them in there. So what if they don't play? So what if Keaton Mitchell doesn't play? You just have them there looking pretty. You just have them there looking pretty good to go when it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's a free play. A free square. Jonathon Brooks, though, is the ultimate free square right now, because the upside is immense. He could go YOLO. He could score RB1 fantasy points for the back end of the season. He could be this year's David Johnson. He could be that. He could be coming off the bench, roaring. And you have him right now on the IR for free. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.